and they're finding support from the banks. You know, we certainly are looking to support that. I think that where banks can play a role other than just the lending part, because everybody talks about banking as being a lending operation. It is, but there are other values that banks should be able to bring. And particularly in this agri-based or SME kind of segment, one of the greatest needs is advisory work, where you advise your customers, you bring them to a level of awareness of what is required in terms of accounting, finance, management disciplines, how to access markets, how to access finance. I think that is a far greater need at this time that we don't collectively as a banking industry necessarily focus on. But if we were to focus on that, then as they become stronger, as they start getting their governance right and their financials and accounting right, banks become more comfortable in lending to them as well. So I think we just need to understand that lending is not the only part of our job. It's the whole piece.
Irfan, when you look at projects that are out there, and particularly looking at your bank, Mizan Bank, being the first and indeed now the biggest Islamic bank here, what's the difference there? And those differences in terms of advantages to people in the market, or perhaps maybe disadvantages or restrictions you might have?
You see, one major area where Islamic Bank cannot operate is an overdraft product. Up to now, the Islamic banks don't have an OD product. But other than that, we are into medium-term, long-term, short-term, equity finance, venture capital, into everything. So as a result, we really feel that as long as your underlying business is a Sharia-compliant business, we have a solution for you. So, I personally feel that there are no restrictions. There are no restraining factors for an Islamic bank to operate, and I think that is evident from the fact that, being the number 40th bank 10 years ago, I mean, we're now among the top 10 banks in Pakistan. So, obviously the product domain is there, the product availability is there, and most of the big corporates in Pakistan are banking with us, and so are the SMEs and the very small companies as well. So product availability is there throughout, and we are on for all kinds of, so we don't have particular areas of interest where we are more interested. I think we are interested in the whole economic cycle of the country.
Now, Atif, you mentioned there that banks are more than lending institutions, and possibly sometimes you are looked at, as they've got the great business ideas, they know how to run everything, and we need some extra money, so let's go talk to the bankers and just get money, and yes, it'll come at a cost, we'll pay our interest rate, and that's the done deal. So what are you doing in terms of helping to really strengthen the partnership in a way, or is this concept of partnership, is it just a nice name, for your service, just to say we care, we're a loving, caring bank, now we want to know your business, we want to help you, we want to advise, or do you just want your money? No, you're the loving, caring guy, you said you were, okay.
Yeah, just so, I don't know whether you know that our current logo is the caring bank, so whether you picked it up by chance or whether you knew about it, I don't know. But, partnership, you're right, is sometimes a hackneyed phrase that, you're in partnership with your customer, but very often banks end up being fair weather friends, so they take the umbrella away when it starts raining. And that's something that obviously doesn't help customers, it doesn't help the economy, it doesn't help the bank. We have a tendency in this economy for banks to do that. I think we have to evolve ourselves to the next level. Our key objective as banks should be to find ways in which the operation of the project continues, because that's the only way that banks will get paid off over a period of time. And that is the partnership that I think that our customers would look for as well, that when they're in trouble, when there are economic cycles, business cycles, that we understand that need, we extend our help, whether it's through additional money or just stretching out the repayments, number of different ways to do that. I mean, that's on the lending side, that's the partnership that clearly we should be providing. But I think there is another element of partnership which the banking sector does not yet provide, which is on the equity side. We tend to not understand the equity mindset that is required. And you see in the West, you have merchant banks and you have investment banks that take equity positions, and they go in as partners, or they go in with private equity to participate in projects. I think that's a direction in which we should be, as an industry, going to develop capital markets on the equity side as well as the debt side. And also look for regulations that encourage that. Today, our regulations are gradually evolving, but they don't necessarily always help banks also to go out and take a view of doing some interesting structuring with customers. For instance, if there is a customer in difficulty and we were to say, okay, you have too much debt, let's take some debt out and restructure your capital, we really can't do that, because writing off a loan is just a no-no in the regulations as they stand today, and also the courts. So there is a fair amount of restructuring of regulations that need to be done, whether it's the CRA, the Corporate Rehabilitation Act, that's been in the works for a while, or indeed some discussions about revising the company's law. A number of these things need to be done for us to really position ourselves as partners and helpers of the business community.
If I come back to the Islamic banking concept again, what do you do different, or is there anything you can do different in terms of creating that partnership? And again, building that, I suppose, that's really about building the sustainability in terms of what you're speaking about as well.
Yeah, in terms of partnership, obviously Islamic banking roots actually start from what we call as musharaka, which is a sharing arrangement. It is one of the modes of financing, but even when we are doing fixed term or whatever, the requirement for an Islamic bank is that you have to understand your customer's need, that why he wants your money and what is he going to use for, which is same with the conventional bank as well, but it's more mandatory on us than conventional banking. And as a result, you see, whenever we are providing our money, we are providing it to acquire certain raw material, fixed assets, machinery, and we require proof of those acquisition. So to give you an example, that even if we have a bank guarantee or a ton of gold sitting as a security, and the customer says that, fine, my credit risk is good enough, give me the money, we can't give that money to them. So we need to know what our money is going to be used for, what it is going to purchase. And as a result, a lot of our customers have been saved from a lot of trouble when the Dubai fiasco happened in the real estate. That companies which are very good balance sheet, good rated balance sheet, all the banks are after lending them money. But when they came to us, we wanted to have the purchase invoices, we want to know what they're going to buy and all these things. And as a result, they couldn't fulfill those requirements and didn't borrow. And they actually told us later on that, thanks God we didn't borrow, because if we have borrowed that money, we would put it in some apartment block in Dubai, which would have gone zero. Yeah. So I think, there is more element of partnership in an Islamic bank than otherwise in a conventional, but obviously to a certain extent only.
How about our ostrich farm? Is that Sharia compliant?
Well, ostrich farm is Sharia compliant, but you see, obviously, a lot of venture capital in Pakistan, it comes with their own risk. And I always keep saying that the shareholders' money in any bank, whether Mizan Bank or any other bank, is probably 8% or 6% or 7% of the total balance sheet size. The 90%, 92% belongs to the depositors. So like Atif said in his initial remark, we have to be prudent. It's not the shareholders' money, it's the depositors' money. So wherever we lend money, the project may seem very exciting for us, but if it's not exciting for the end in mind of the balance sheet and the P&L account, we would refrain from that. So it needs a full analysis on that.
It's nice to hear you talking about the value and the care you have on the depositors' money in the banks. I mean, I think a lot of the Western banks obviously let a lot of people down, and if anybody is feeling very hurt and feeling huge victims right now, it is the people who were the depositors and put their money in. So let me have a look at the retail banking sector here in terms of what you can do to build on that partnership. You're one of the biggest retail bankers in the country, well known. What are you doing in terms of working closely with industry and creating better partnerships?